Today we're going to be working on spreadsheets, of course, and one of the things that is wonderful about spreadsheets is that we can put together a budget. Today we're going to be working in Microsoft Excel, and we're going to put a budget together. So without further ado, let me get started. The first thing I have to do is figure out how to open the program. So I'm going to go to Start here, and I'm just going to go ahead and type EXC. Okay, here we go. We have two choices, Excel 2013 or Excel 2016. Now, in order to have Excel on your computer, you need to download it. It's part of Microsoft Office. And so make sure that you have Excel before you do the lab. Otherwise, you'll be kind of disappointed. There is also Google. What's the Google spreadsheet called, guys? Anybody? Google Sheets. And Google Sheets works really well. Same kind of idea. And if you're using Google Sheets, the tutorial will probably mostly work for you, and that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead and open up Excel 2016. When you click open the program, in Sheets it might look a little different, but that's okay. We're going to use a blank workbook, so no big deal. I'm just going to go ahead and on this section choose blank workbook, and here it is. Now let's take a look at the user interface just for a second. You'll notice that we have columns that are nomenclated with A, B, C, D, E, and then you have rows that are nomenclated with numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now the intersection of a row and a column is called a cell, so we'll be using that terminology as we go. The other thing you might notice is that across the top, just like the other Microsoft Office programs, they have the tabs that are kind of modal, and you can use these as we go into different parts of our project. But you also have underneath each one of these tabs, you have, for example, here on the Home tab, you have a bunch of choices and tools and things that you're already used to. So like in Microsoft Word, for example, you have to change the font and this, that, and the other thing. So one of the things I like to do before I even get started is to save the document. It's important to save and save often, because when you lose your stuff, you only have that much time to repeat it. So let's go here, File, and then I'm going to say Save As, and I want to choose this PC, and I'm going to browse. And I have my flash drive connected, so I'm going to scroll down. I find my flash drive, and I have my CS5 folder, and in here I'm going to put it under spreadsheets. So for this one, we're going to call this My Budget. And I'm going to hit Save. And good. Now you'll see that it says My Budget up on top, and we're good to go with that. So we're going to do a budget, all right? And for our budget, we're going to assume like we're a college student, right? And maybe like we work at Starbucks or something, okay? What does it cost to live? What kinds of expenses do we have, and so forth? Now, a budget is basically created with the idea of that you have your income, and then you have your expenses, and then what you're going to do is you're going to subtract your expenses from your income and find out what your monthly balance is, right? So let's take a look here. The first thing I'm going to do is make this column a little wider, and I do that just by dragging you'll see the cursor changes, and this is one of the subtle things. I'm just going to drag this column out so we can see it a little better, and I'm going to go ahead and start typing in the cells. My budget. Okay, so we have expenses and income. So I'm going to say income. And I'm going to skip a few lines, and then I'm going to say expenses. And after we write in our expenses, somewhere in here we will have a balance. So income, we work at Starbucks, and let's see. So we have Starbucks. We work there 40 hours a week, and we're a struggling student, and so forth. Let's say we make let's say $1,200 from Starbucks, okay, a month, like $300 a week, right? 40 hours, maybe some tips, something like that. For now, I'm going to leave Starbucks the way it is, but we might have some other things. For example, we might have, what do they call it? Not your student loan, but you have financial aid, right? So financial aid. Now, we're going to be doing this budget over the month. So what I might do is instead of just saying my budget, I might change this. I'm going to click on this tab, and up in here on the formula bar, I'm just going to say monthly because it's a monthly budget. So what are we paying out by the month? Okay. Now, so under income, we have Starbucks, and then we have financial aid, and we'll look at that in just a second. What kind of expenses do we have? Rent, big time. Okay, rent. Now, renting, so let's say we are renting a home and we have roommates as usual, and let's say the rent is going to be something like, and this you're going to laugh because I mean this is Northern California and this is not necessarily the price, but let's say our rent is $550, and you're laughing because it's like, oh my gosh, my rent is so much more than that. But let's just pretend for the sake of the demo. All right, what other expenses do we have? Food, okay, food. All right, and say food it can be really expensive. I mean, it might be like $300 for yourself, maybe more. I don't know if you go to Whole Foods, Whole Paycheck, or Food Max. I mean, but food is expensive. What else do we have to pay for? Insurance, okay, insurance. So, say for car insurance. Now, you guys are my insurance. I'm an older guy. My car insurance is $40 a month, right? Yeah, yeah. You're laughing, right? Because yours is like 120. Okay, so let's say it's going to be $110, okay, for insurance. What other payments do we have to make every month? Okay, we garbage is taken care of. Water and garbage, we'll say, is taken care of. But we do have other utilities. We have PG&E, right? PG. Here's my and sign. And E. Okay, and so the PGD split three ways. Let's say it's $50. Okay, kind of laughing, but maybe during summer. Okay, we have our cell phone because we don't use a regular phone anymore, right? So we have our cell phone, and how much is that? We have to have a data plan, of course, right? So it's going to be $100. I'm sure, because you have to have your data plan, you have to have your calls, you have to this. We don't have a landline anymore. What other kinds of expenses do we have? Oh my gosh, gas. Oh, gasoline. Okay, so we're college student now, so we're not doing much driving extra. So, but it's still going to be expensive. It's still going to be like 120 a month, let's say. Depends on what kind of car you drive, right? Okay, clothing and so forth. Let me just put that a little bit down the list because that's important. Okay, what other kinds of things do we have to pay? Internet, right? You have to have internet, right? Okay. Now, hair products and things like that, other kinds of things. Let's put under miscellaneous because we definitely need all that stuff. Miscellaneous. I'm going to actually take miscellaneous and put that below that as well because I know we have a couple more things. Miscellaneous hair products and things like that. And let's say it's going to be $75 a month on whatever's, incidentals and sundries and so forth. Okay, what other kinds of expenses do we have? Internet. We were talking internet. So we're going to split our internet bill, Comcast. We're going to split it three ways, and so that's going to be $45 a month, something like that. What else do we have? Rent, food, insurance, PG&E, cell phone, gas, internet. But you might have a credit card. So what is the minimum payment on your credit card? Like, is it $50 or whatever? Let's say we want to make it $100. Okay, we want to pay over the vig. So $100 here. Okay, for credit cards. All right, what other kinds of expenses might I be missing? We have like school supplies, right? Books and so forth, right? School books, books in general, right? Okay, school books, uh, and clothing. What else? Put in the miscellaneous. Okay, maybe let's put $100 into miscellaneous just in case, fun. School books. Now here's the thing: we are going to take our financial aid, and because we're just looking at a month, what we're going to do is we're going to divide that into like say 10 months. Like the 10 months that we go to school. So what does your financial aid package look like? Well, you might have a Doyle, you might have a Pell Grant, something like that. But at any rate, it's bringing you in maybe a couple $100 a month. Let's just say that to be a little bit safe. So we'll say $200. Okay, And then school books is got, if you average that out over, I know it's like a big hit at the beginning of the semester, but we're going to have to take an average for this just to figure that out. Now later when we do more complicated spreadsheets, I can show you how that works and how you can pay it down over time. But for now, let's just say dividing up the school books, that's going to be another, say $40 a month. Or not 400, but 40. School books, pencils, supplies, things like that. Um, so here's an interesting one. I'm actually going to delete a row. So to delete this row, I just right click on the 18 here and I'm just going to say delete, and it deletes the row here. Clothing and miscellaneous fund. Let's say we're going to do $50 on that. Now, I know $50, or let's try $100. I mean, maybe you're a clothes hound. Let's see what happens. All right. Here's the thing. What we want to do is we want to get a more accurate picture of what is going on with our spending and so forth, okay? So we are going to total these things up, and I'm going to show you a couple different ways to total things. The first way is going to be using a formula, which is the longhand version of what we could do with a function. So the formula is, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put a total in here, total, and what the formula is going to do is it's going to add these two numbers at B4 and B5. So what I'm going to do is I select the total box. Now you have to select the box where the action is going to go. And then I'm going to go up here to the formula bar and I'm going to say that what's in total gets, okay, B6, right? I'm sorry, B4 plus B5. Okay. So we have plus B5. Let me use capital B. Okay. And if I hit enter, it gives me the total of 1400, right? And again, see, I click on that, and so that's B4 plus B5. Okay. That works pretty well, but if I start adding numbers to it or change things around, it's gonna mess up my formula here. Let me show you another way, an easier way to do this. Down here below expenses, what I'll do is I'm going to type total. Oops, Total, total. Now what I'm going to do is now I have to do this. Now you can see I could do this. I could say this gets, and then we're going to say B9 plus B10 plus B11 plus B12 plus B13, and that would work. Okay. However, check this out. What I'm going to do is I'm going to invoke the sum function. So I'm going to say what happens in total gets the sum, and I'm going to start my parentheses, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to say B9 and see how it highlights this column. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to say colon, which means through, B9 through, and then I'm going to click on the last one, okay, B19, and you see that it's thinking I'm selecting the whole box. Now, another easy way to do the same kind of thing, watch this. I'm going to grab the corner of this box. I think it'll work. Not at this point. I have to close my parentheses here, and then boom. And then so we see our total as 1615, and that's going to be the sum of B9 through B19. Now, let me show you another way to do that. It's the same kind of thing. I'm going to delete it right now. Okay, again, I click in the box where I want the action to happen. And then I go up to the formula bar and I'm going to say, okay, that gets the sum. And then I'm going to start my parenthesis and I click on the box. Now get this. I'm going to actually grab the corner of this box and pull it down, and look what it's doing up there. It's actually doing the same thing. And then I close my parentheses and hit enter, and I get the same number. And there's also, they always give you 3 ways to do something. It's just to make it confusing. There's also a really cool way to do this. Now watch this. This is like magic. I go ahead and I click on total, and then I go up to the button that says sigma here. Watch this. Boom. And it automatically does the same thing. So sum is pretty cool because it's done. Now you're already seeing that we're getting into a little problem here, right? And we don't need to be a mathematician to see that our expenses are higher than our income, okay? However, let's do a balance anyway. So I'm going to say to put a balance in, B-A-L-A-N-C-E. Now, if I wanted to find the balance of what's going on here, what do? I add, subtract, divide, multiply. What do you think? A balance is the difference. Okay, a balance is the difference of your income minus your expenses. Okay, now when they say difference, we're going to use subtraction. So I'm going to click in the where I want the action to go. Okay, you click where you want the action to go. Now I'm going to say, so what are we? So let's think about this for a second. We're going to say that the balance is going to be the total of income minus the total of expenses. Does that sound appropriate? Okay. So what? And the total of income is under B6, and the total of expenses is under B20. So we're going to say that the balance gets, I put my parentheses in here, B6 minus, and I can just verify that the blue is up there, B6 minus B20, okay, and hit enter, and then let's see what we have. Oh, so we are negative 215, okay? Aha. So what are we going to do to balance this budget out? Where can we cut some corners? Okay, we got 1,400 coming in, which is cool. Rent's not going to change. Food. Okay, so instead of eating at whole paycheck, maybe we can do the food max, right? Take me to the max. Maybe we could do like 250 in food. And now watch what happens when I change the food down to 250 instead of 300. Okay, the balance changes. It's $165. Okay, hey, maybe we could do this. Okay, so insurance, that's not going to change. PG&E, unfortunately not going to change. Cell phone, maybe we could drive a little less. Instead of $120 for gas, we could put 100 in here. Now, this is one of the really cool things about spreadsheets is that because the numbers are all tied together, you can see the stuff actually happening as you go. Question? How does the sigma function know what you're highlighting? It makes a good guess because it looks at groups of numbers, and so it says these are probably what you want. Sometimes it gets it wrong, and you have to adjust it a little bit. But that's a good question. Okay, credit card. So remember, we're only paying the VIG, right? I mean, we're paying more than the VIG, but the VIG is $50, right? So why don't we make the minimum payment for a little bit to see what we could do? So we'll make it $50. And now we're short $95. Okay. Internet's not going to change. Credit card we just looked at. School book's not going to change too much. Clothing, we could cut a couple bucks off of that. Maybe we just put away $75 instead of $100 for that. Okay, now we're at $70. Okay. Miscellaneous, maybe we could take, I don't know, $20 out of that. Let's make miscellaneous $80. Okay. Oops, not 8, but 80. 80. Okay. I don't know what I did here, but I'll just delete that. Now we're $50 short. Okay. So, folks, listen. And fellas, listen. I got to add this to the thing because I'm going to tell you something. Okay. Entertainment. Okay. Entertainment. Fellas, you got to take her out from time to time. Okay. And I'm just saying. Okay. From personal experience. She doesn't want to come over and play PlayStation with you all night, every night. Okay, right? Once in a while is okay. All right, once in a while is okay. But fellas, you got to take her. Cheap movie, little dinner, taco truck, awesome. Go to the $5 movies. But you can't just play PlayStation. So we have to. Let me enter this again. I knew we were going to need that row. Let me enter. I'm just going to click in here. And I want to click here and I want to say insert, and it's going to insert a row here, and we're going to say entertainment. And really, entertainment's going to be like $75. Okay, let's just say. Now we're still short like $125. Okay, because you got to take her out because they're not going to go for that. All right, so what are we going to do? We're short. Okay, so this is where you can also play with the numbers, and so here's the thing. Here's my pitch. Some of us have like a mom and dad that are fairly cool about maybe helping you out a little bit. Some of us don't, and that's cool too. But in this case, let's just pretend like if we put together a picture of our financial situation, that was showing mom and dad that we almost had it, and we could show them the numbers, and we could say, look, here's a chart, and you can see that here's where my money goes, and it's not going off to crazy, whatever, things that they think we might be doing with the money. And if you just help me out with $200 a month, I could totally do this, right? I could totally do this if you just hook me up with $200 a month. So let me add a space, and we're gonna make this good. We're gonna make a pitch here. So let's add. I'm gonna add a row. So I'll insert a row, and then under Starbucks, I'm gonna say the M&D Loan Company. M&D. All right, mom and dad, and let's say we get 200 from them. Okay. Now watch. There's a problem here. You'll notice because I did the formula version that it's not for the 1400 didn't change, because let's take a look. For this 1400 total here is only looking at B4 plus B6. So B4 plus B6, we're not even including B5. So why don't we just add B5 here? So B4 plus B5. Okay. Oops. Let me caps lock B5, and then plus B6. Now, I'm doing this on purpose because on your assignment, I want you to have a formula. So this is one way of doing a formula. It's just a longhand version. So I hit enter, and now we see that we have 1,600. Okay, and now we have a balance of plus $75. Okay, where do you want to do that? Should we go back? Can we go back a little bit and say change the food? We could go back. We could do a little more on food. 225. Okay, on food. Now our balance is $100. Where else do we take the credit card? Let's do $100 on that. Now we got $50. Miscellaneous, we'll go back up to 100. Okay. Entertainment, we got $30. So 75 plus 30 is gonna be 105, I believe. Right? Is that right? Beautiful. Now, when your balance is zero, that means what they call a balanced budget. Okay. So we're gonna shoot for zero every month. Now, if you had extra money, you might want to save it, okay? And so you would include savings in here, and you would still balance it, okay? Under income or under expenses, I would put savings account, because that's going to go out to the savings account. In our case, we're like college students, so we're like dirt poor and so forth. Now, right now, in order to impress mom and dad enough to make us look like we know what we're doing, let's dress this thing up and make it look really nice, okay? So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do some of like the word features. For example, my monthly budget, I'm going to highlight that. I'm going to bold it right now. And I like to do all my formatting afterwards. I like to get the stuff in there and then fluff it. I see a lot of papers from my students sometimes that are all fluff and no stuff. So I want to get the stuff in here. So I'm going to, let's say, now we're going to fluff it up. Okay, my monthly budget. Now income, I'm gonna make that a size 12, and I'm gonna bold it. Now expenses, I'm gonna make that a size 12, and I'm gonna bold it, okay. And for balance, now check this out. This is a neat tool that you might want to know, a little advanced feature. This is called the, what do they call it? They call it the Format Painter. Now, Format Painter is cool because right now I have the expenses box selected. I'm going to click on Format Painter, and that's going to grab that treatment on here, and I'm going to click on Balance, boom, and Balance inherits that whole idea here. Okay, now, we also are dealing with not just numbers, but we need dollar signs and so forth, right? So let's make that look appropriate. The other thing is total. Here's what I'm going to do with the total. I'm going to bold the total, and I'm going to shift that over on alignment. Okay. Now totals are usually what? You remember, anybody from accounting? We usually what with the total? Underline, right? We double underline the balance and we single underline the total. Okay, so let's total is here. Okay. And then this total here, let's make that bold and underline it and move it over. Boom. And I could have used Format Painter for that. And the top number here, I want to change this into currency because I want our dollar signs to show up. So let's say currency. Okay. And oh, that looks like a really bigger number than that because of the decimals. So let's take out the decimals. Boom, boom. Oops, I'm adding. I'll go the other way. Boom, 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 boom. There we go. Now we have that nice number. I'm going to take my Format Painter and I'm going to add that to this. Okay. Now See the same thing. I could go back and I see Format Painter, and I'm going to add that to this one. Okay. And then Format Painter again, and I'm going to add that to Entertainment. Oops, I didn't mean to do that. Undo. That's another good thing about that is we can just undo it. And I'm going to go down to Total, and I'm going to. What did I do?
Are you allowed to drag it down to all of them?
You can. I don't want the dollar sign on every one of them though. But yeah, you could select all of them and say I'm gonna format paint that. So let me do my total, and I'll just do this one again. I'm just gonna go to a currency, and again the format painter was doing the exact same thing. It's just this is the longer way to do it, but you have to set it up first. So do that, and then we're gonna underline that, and then our balance is going to be a currency, and we'll take the. I don't know why I keep getting that particular arrow today. I'm going to use a double underline. Now watch this, double underline. Cool. Okay, looking pretty good. However, we want to add a chart because charts are wonderful because maybe in this case it's pretty easy to see what do we spend most money on, what do we spend least money on. But in a chart, when you get a visual example of it, it really takes those numbers and brings it to life. Now, the trick with the chart is that you need to select the items that are going to be in the chart and nothing else. Okay? And here's what I mean. Let's make a chart for expenses. Now, what type of chart do you think would be good for expenses? And while we're thinking about it, I'm going to save. I'm just going to go ahead and save it because I don't want to lose my work. What kind of chart? You think pie chart? Let's do a pie chart for that. So what I'm going to do to make a pie chart, I'm going to go to where it says Insert. Okay, and I have my stuff ready here. Now I select my data set. Now watch, I select all the way from rent all the way down to the last item. I don't include the total, and I'm going to show you why I don't include the total in a second. Okay, now I have my data set selected, and what I'm going to do is I'm on Insert on here, and I'm going to go to where it looks like a chart. Okay, here's charts, and I'm going to choose just a regular 2D pie chart. Okay, I select that. That looks nice. Now, I like this chart, but the problem with this chart is that I'm going to need a color printer if I'm going to want to see it and show it off. So you're going to see that I also have chart styles here. So let's pick a chart style that's better. Not so much. Not so much. I want something that's a little bit like I don't need to have a printer, a color printer to do. That's cool. If I worked with this a little bit, I think I can make it work. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to just kind of shore it up here. Maybe put it down. Maybe if I put it underneath. I'm going to stretch it out for now so we can take a look. Now, chart title. What do you think our chart title should be on this one? Expenses or monthly expenses, right? Monthly expenses. That's a fine. That's a fine. Okay, now this is the cool thing about a chart, and I got to tell you, this is a really great thing. Is that okay? What do we spend most of our money on? Rent. What do we spend least of our money on? Maybe PG&E. Do you have something else? School books and PG&E, right? Wonderful. So that's the beauty of a chart, just right there. It's like right there. So I'm going to stash this chart underneath for a second. We'll just put it here. Now let's do an income chart. Instead of a chart like a pie chart, let's do a, you know what? Before we do that, I want to show you something else. Okay, I'm going to bring this chart back up, and I'm going to remember that I'm going to edit the video. Maybe I won't. Who knows? Now, the reason why I don't include the total, okay? Because you're thinking, oh, my data set. You're not going to include the total because look what happens when I include the total. See what happens with the total? The total looks like this. It adds this total to it, and it messes it all up. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to undo that. Again, with your chart, you only select the data that's going to go into the chart. So I'm going to move that out of the way, just like undo that and move this down over here. So for this next chart, what we're going to do is we're going to do a bar chart. And so I'm going to select again the data that I want. That's the action here. And now I'm going to insert a chart. And it even has the things like, oh, recommended charts. You can choose that. But, today I don't think I need a recommended chart. I'm just going to use one of these charts. Here's a column chart or a bar chart. And so I'm just going to do a little column chart. I think that looks good. Okay, chart title is going to be monthly income. Okay, monthly income. Okay, I'll get rid of that. Now you can see here, this is pretty cool. I think we can even work with this. Let me shore it up a little bit. And you say, Mom and Dad, look, you're just helping me out this much. I mean, Uh, and look how have it so organized. I'm even thinking about miscellaneous things like if a car breaks or a tire or something like that. But I really do need your help with the $200. What do you think? Kind of thing. And maybe it could be a loan, or maybe that, or maybe it's a friend that loans you money. Whatever it is. But you realize that in order to move out, it's going to cost you about $1,600 on average. 1,600 to $2,000 if you're living on your own. Okay. So that's something to think about. Not that I don't want you to do that, but listen, you got to stay in school. That's important for me. Yes. Oh, you got first and last, and oh yeah, no, yeah. There's all kinds of other little hidden expenses, and thank you for saying that. Today we're just kind of keeping it simple. Now there's another function I like that we're going to be using, and it's called the now function. And what now does is it gives you the date, like not the date like tomorrow or today or whatever. It's going to be the date that you open up the file. So if I put today's date on it and I don't use the now function and I open up tomorrow, so today is the 27th of September. If I open it up tomorrow, it would say the 27th of September. If I open it up a week from now, it would say the 27th of September. Now is different than that. Now puts the date like now, whenever you open the file. So let's do that. My monthly budget. Now I'm going to put the now function right here. And I'm going to say this is going to get, and then now is easy. I just type NOW, now, and then I close that and I hit enter. The problem is that you know what? I goofed it. That's not right. I say equals now, and then I put my parentheses here. That's how you do it. Okay, so here we go. And it says 9/27/2016 at 10:01. Okay? Now, we don't need the whole 10:01 business and so forth. I just would appreciate 9/27/16. Now, if I opened this up tomorrow, what would it say? 928. You get the idea. So in order to format this, I'm just going to go click on the thing, and I'm going to actually go to where my formatting is. And I'm going to format this as a short date. Boom. That's exactly what I want. I'm going to bold that. Okay, so how are we looking? We got a double underlined balance, totals, expenses looking good, font size is good. Now, I want to print it so I have a copy. So I'm going to say File and go to Print and take a look. Now, in this case, everything looks pretty good. I know I can see that I have a little bit of something not printing here, but I always recommend go to Print Preview before you print because you end up into problems with Excel. Let me show you what I mean. Once you go to Print Preview, all of a sudden you get these little dotted lines and so forth, and those dotted lines are actually the paper, where the paper stops as far as the print preview. So I realize that if I'm going to use this chart here and I want it to show up fully, I'm going to need to shore it up a little bit. So let me shore it up, see what that looks like. Can we still use that? That's doable, right? Okay. My monthly, okay, so now that's good. Let's see what it looks like when I print it or go to print preview. Yeah, that looks like everything's in here. Now, I'm missing one other thing. I wanted to give it a header because, we like headers and footers in here. So where would I insert a header? What would I do? Yeah, we'll go on top of that. But what if I say go to insert and I say, okay, insert, and where's header here? Is it under header? Maybe it's under page layout. Page layout. Okay. Headings, audings, blah, blah, blah. Bring forward, align. Where's header, footer? Under insert. Boy, this video is going to suck if I can't find header, footer. It's under insert. all the way to the right hand side. Okay, so I'm on the left. Okay, here. What am I looking for? Home. Insert. Not there either. Where do they do it? Where did it go? Maybe they don't. Maybe they said, "Oh, Rosen's. We don't need to have his things anymore." Formulas. No. Let's see. Page layout. It might be under page layout. Forward. Blah blah blah. Tile prints. Background breaks. Orientation. Effects. Colors. Themes. Insert. The table come to recommended charts. You get a 3D map. Color weight loss. I just says hyperlink. Symbols. Home. Yeah, we're gonna find search. Insert. What can we insert here? Insert what? Okay. All right, let's go to help. That's another good thing. So if we go to tell me, no, how about not tell me? I'm just going to press F1, and that's usually help. And I'm going to say headers, heading. Oh, header. Okay, header insert. Where the heck is header insert? There we go. Headers and footers in a worksheet in Excel 2016. Okay. You can add header and footer to the top or bottom of print. Okay, great. How do you do it? What do you do? Add or change the header. Let's see. So, page setup dialog box. Okay, page layout. Excel worksheets, the headers, footers, and page layout where you can see them. You can also use the page setup dialog box. Okay, page layout. Okay, page layout. Yeah.
Maybe you go page setup in the corner. Is that where you
Oh, yeah, you're right. Where's page setup in the quarter? Where's that?
no, like in the corner where it says page setup down over
Oh my God.
below that, right? No, over to the right.
Page setup. Pull that down. Ah, here it is. Thank you. Look at you. See, that's the weird thing about the differences in the programs. It's like you know what you want to do, and then sometimes you have to kind of hunt and peck around for it. But like you don't need to take a whole new class because you know what you want to do. So let's say header and footer. All right. So let's say we want a custom header, and left section. I want our names Scott and class. What's our section? 0485. Okay. 0485. Okay. And then we already got the date on it. So we're going to say, okay, great. And do we want a page number? We don't need a page number because there's only one page. So we say, okay, great. And so let's take a look and so we'll save it. Oh my gosh, save. Great. So now it's saved. And then let's do the print preview and see what it's going to look like. Okay. Great. So I have Scott and class, monthly budget, income, expenses. How's that look? Now, what if we were to present mom and dad with that document? I think our chances are probably better than if we were just to have come up in conversation and try to do it that way. This gives us some leverage as far as like, hey, look, we've done our homework. We've looked this through. We're presenting this in a proper way. It's realistic relatively and it shows the other person that you thought it through. Now, later on in life, you might need to make a loan for a house, or you might need to make a profit and loss statement for your business. Okay, very similar to this. I mean, there's more details, of course, but this is the basics. Now, in our next unit here, you're going to be creating your own budget, and some of you guys are going to be on this video and hearing you and so forth. So everybody say hi, video.
Hey, video.
No, all right, that's weak. If I can edit that out. All right, whatever. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and close this, and then we're done. All right, so now hold on a second. Let me close my video.